I've been doing all kinds of art, but mostly drawing and watercolor since I was a child. I would say I got into it more seriously after I left high school. Well, I was doing it in high school, and was very fortunate to have good teachers there, and went for a year at University of Toronto Architecture, left exhausted, and took 4 years to go off from there to study theology. Switched from theology to psych at Waterloo, switched to fine art, and never turned around. I started out in the fine art community exhibiting, and after 6 or 7 years working in the gallery world, I was introduced to the field of illustration by Matt Cupido, of all people. Wonderful man, and made the transition into Toronto, into this field, kind of completely cold turkey. I was interested in visual communication that was more collaborative. I was tired of not having any control of any income. I was tired of my wife supporting me all the time. And even though I sold everything I did, I was very fortunate that way. So when I got into the field of illustration, I was thrown completely raw into a very competitive environment, and discovered that God had gone ahead of me and shaped the whole industry to accept pure fine art in the communication setting. Exactly the right time. It came and it lasted as a genre for about 15 years, and then it was gone. It is now largely gone. My favorite painters are Turner and Velasquez. My favorite Canadians, I would say, are Alex Colville and Ernest Lidner. Everyone knows about Alex because of his psychological realism from the Maritimes. I find him to be one of the most interesting Canadian painters because he's dealing with levels of reality beyond the physical. He's clearly implying human psychology on a very unusual level. Ernest Lidner was a draftsman and a watercolorist from Regina who dealt with the wilderness in the same kind of material I do, and also was a draftsman like me, an incredible artist. He's deceased now, and but he did beautiful work and was a master watercolorist. There are a lot of different languages in art, right? There's everything from abstraction to high realism, and lots of stations in between. I see them all as languages that embody ideas, some of them being more intuitive or subjective, but a lot of them are more culturally accessible, more general that everybody can grasp. When you leave the fine art world and enter the field of graphic communications, you are automatically in a milieu that openly endorses communication. So, interestingly enough, compared to the fine art community, the graphics community, the hard part is recovering some of the fine art sensibility of subtlety and sophistication in communication, because the general trend in a lot of graphic communication is to be too obvious, to be too blunt, to be too crass. Metaphor is going on all the time in our speech, in our language. It's part of everything we see in film, it's part of the history of art. And basically what it means is to use physical objects or physical places or surfaces, things from the natural world, to represent things that we can't see. So it means speaking more symbolically, but it has tremendous sophistication as a variable in communication. It's all through all literature, all film. The Bible's full of it. It's everywhere. It's all around us. We use it in speech all the time. For me, my faith journey as an artist begins with the realm of psychology. I grew up in a situation where there was a certain amount of unhappiness in family life, and I discovered knowing God in the middle of all that mess. And I watched God interact with my life and enter into the actual events of my life to help me understand that someone actually cared about how I felt, and that my mental health mattered more than just about anything. After that came all the theology and all the other reasons for understanding the validity of the Christian faith. My faith stands today because God has been faithful to me and kept me alive as an artist.